The gods of Kemet are real. Let's talk about it. Before I get started, I want to give respect to the angel of Philadelphia, Sun Ra. Sun Ra is the person that brought the Kemetic order to the West. He is the originator and the founder of the Kemetic thinking in America and in the West. There's none other before him. So I'm making this video out of respect for my teacher, and I got to make sure that the youth know the original teachings. So that's why I'm doing this. I also want to give respect to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because Sun Ra and Elijah Muhammad were light years ahead of all of the historians and scholars that black people are studying today. And Sun Ra often said that he was related to Elijah Muhammad. Now, before I talk about the gods of Kemet being real, let me break down some information about those that are teaching something other than that. You see, in the late 70s, early 80s, there wasn't all these Kemetic people out here. This is a fact. The way we mostly commune with each other was, you knew that when Sun Ra go on tour, all of the Kemetic spacemen would come out to his shows. When you moved around in the cultural community, there was no Kemetic people in the cultural community like that. Very few. Very few. In LA, there was only the King's Chamber, which was some Kemetic rosters. And in Chicago, it was only us, the Kemetic spacemen. In New York, there was a few brothers. But other than that, there was not all these Kemetic people running around talking this Kemet shit, okay? Real talk. And right now I'm going at some of these older cats that's out here pretending that they so Kemetic. They wasn't never fucking Kemetic. That's like bullshit. You see, in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of black people, they started seeing Dr. Ben lectures and stuff like that. So they didn't want to associate with Islam, because at first, the black people that was aware, they wanted to break away from white Christianity. They all jumped into Islam. This is like during the Malcolm X era. Then as time go, they didn't want to be bothered with Christianity or Islam. They didn't immediately go into Kemet. They all jumped into African spirituality. These dudes, they was all into Yoruba and voodoo. This is a fact. In the late 70s and in the early 80s, black people that was into Africanism was not into anything that had anything to do with East Africa. They were all into West African ideologies. This is a fact. They was saying Lafia, they was under Yoruba, They was dealing with Shango and Olademere. They was pouring out libations, okay? They was not wearing no Kemetic symbols at all. They was wearing African drummer bracelets and they was wearing cowrie shells. And then it went into kente cloth and mud cloth. This is a historical fact, okay? They weren't only us Kemetic spacemen was wearing ankhs and pharaoh heads and stuff like that. Wasn't nobody wearing that. Nobody. This is a real fact. This is a fact. Wasn't nobody wearing that through the whole 80s. They was wearing Malcolm X t-shirts and too black, too strong, and it's a black thing, you wouldn't understand it, and a lot of African gods. Wasn't nobody represent East Africa except two entities. The Kemetic spacemen and the Rasta. The Rasta was representing Ethiopia, and the Kemetic spacemen, we was representing Kemet. All these other dudes, they was fucking with West Africa. That's why if you look at a lot of them, they look like they still fuck with West Africa. They don't look like they fuck with Kemet. They whole dress, they whole mannerisms is West African tradition. Real talk. Now, what you got to know is that during this time, they started touring America with the King Tut exhibit. And when they started touring America with the King Tut exhibit, that's when more people started wanting to wear Egyptian items. But the first item they started wearing, it wasn't a pharaoh head. It was Nefertiti. The sisters was wearing it first. The sisters was wearing the Nefertiti. It was a long time before the brothers started wearing the pharaoh heads. We was the only ones wearing the pharaoh head. All the other brothers that was into anything had something to do with Africa was either Pan-African on some liberation war, guerrilla warfare, or they was into those West African religions, Voodoo and Yoruba. This is a fact. Wasn't all these Kemetic people. Because if they would have been Kemetic, they would have been going to Sun Ra shows, and then they would have approached Sun Ra, and they would have questioned Sun Ra on his teachings that the angels was real, okay, that there is space beings that won't come to this planet because we wouldn't respect them, and that there was other creatures all over the omniverse. None of them ever questioned Sun Ra on his teachings on that. None of them really questioned the master. So how they gonna come out now with this bullshit? So when you see people saying that the gods in Kemet is symbolism, that's because they fake anyway. When they was messing with West African traditions, they was fake. They didn't believe that shit either. They didn't really believe Olademere and Shango or none of that. They was just fucking follow fashion monkeys, okay? They weren't never true to the shit. They just jump around. Whereas time goes and more people start accepting Kemet, all of these bootleg brothers and sisters jumped on the Kemetic bandwagon. Fucking black power people started jumping in the Kemetic, and all of these African spiritualists that's pouring out libations, they didn't want to be Yoruba no more. They didn't want to be West African. So these motherfucking transformers jumped all the way from following West Africans, because they was following Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal. That's who they was following. Then they jumped over. Now all of a sudden, they Kemetic. And what do? They come over there and they start making black people godless. Start saying that the gods ain't real, that the shit was symbolism. That they just used a bird for some fucking symbolism. That they just used the animal for some symbolism. That's bullshit. Kemet was set up by extraterrestrials. Black people from another planet. That's where we originally come from. We don't even come from Earth. I ain't gonna even get into that. But that's how Kemet got set up. And Kemet is aligned with the omniverse, aligned with the stars and the galaxies. Anybody that's teaching about Kemet from an earthly standpoint is a fake and a goddamn fraud. And once you start teaching about Kemet from an intergalactic mentality, then automatically you're going to accept other beings from other planets. And once you get into accepting extraterrestrials, then you know they all don't look like something that you would be used to. So these people is fake. They got this white man mentality that because the white man changed the color of the Hebrews, they want to say that's fake. And so then they want to jump into Kemet and try to make the gods in Kemet fake and shit too. And that's bullshit. Let me show you what a person is doing when they say the gods in Kemet is not real, it's symbolism. See, in 2017, we don't call it symbolism. We call it fake. So they either real or they fake. Now check this out. When you read the Medu Neter and you read the stories, it say things like a god came and brought writing to the planet. If you read the Emerald tablets, you'll see that it say a god came and brought writing to the planet. So if you say this god ain't real, then that means the story not real. So if the God's not real and the story not real, what the fuck is you even reading this shit for? That means all this shit is bullshit. This is what they teaching you because you got Luciferians coming over into Kemet, teaching Kemet. Because I already told you they was worshiping voodoo, and voodoo is a Luciferian practice. All of these motherfuckers that's going in the conscious community trying to speak up for voodoo, I drive a stake through their motherfucking heart. They are Luciferian. Let me tell you something. In Haiti, when they called on voodoo, the voodoo came and chased the French out. But when the French left, the voodoo stayed. Word from Sun Ra. That's Sun Ra's exact words. That they chanted up this negative spirit. They wanted this negative, evil, fallen angels to help them beat the French. And when the French left, the negative, demonic spirits stayed. That's what Sun Ra said. And I'm taking what Sun Ra said over what any of these motherfuckers say that's on the internet, over what any of these fake-ass scholars say, and over any of these motherfucking historians. I don't give a fuck who it is. Because a historian just keep dates. This happened this date, this happened that date. A historian is not qualified to speak on theology. That go for Henry Clark or Dr. Ben. They are historians. They keep dates. They are not qualified to speak on the gods, the angels, the archangels, extraterrestrial. They're not qualified for that. That's why I say Sun Ra and Elijah Muhammad's knowledge is superior to their knowledge. They are historians. A historian should stay in a historian place and not try to start talking about diet, telling people it's all right to eat pork like what Dr. Ben did. And a historian should not try to act like he a theologian. And that's what you got right now. You got dudes that study historical facts and now they trying to talk some spiritual cosmic shit, but they not spiritual or cosmic at all. And if you're not cosmic, you are not Kemetic. Facts. Let's break it down. You want to say, well, how can I say the gods is real? Let's break it down. Look at Kemet. Look at the buildings. Look at the design. Look at the technical difficulty it takes to design those structures. Then look at the pictures of the pharaohs that they drew on the shit, because they didn't make the shit. They just drew on the shit that was already there. That's why the oldest pyramids don't even have no shit Holly drew in them. But anyway, go look at that shit. And look at what the pharaohs got. What they got? Chariots and spears. So you're telling me the technical difficulty it takes to build those structures in Kemet, all you would have is some spears? Man, them guys with them spears that's got them paintings on the pyramids, they got nothing to do with the design of those structures in Kemet. Those were designed by being from another planet. Okay? We are children of the sun. Okay? Now tell me something. Is the sun from Earth? The sun ain't from Earth. Y'all want to keep talking melanated in the sun. The sun is not from Earth. I'm not going to give away all my information because I'm writing a book. That's just the basics, okay? And before I debate any of them, it's going to cost you 10 racks. And I wouldn't even debate one. You got to give me 2 of them. Give me the guy that sells the stones and rocks, and give me the tour guide. Because a fucking guy selling stones and rocks and a tour guide ain't qualified to speak on the gods. You a tour guide, go do the fucking tours, man, and shut the fuck up. Don't try to speak like you know anything about the gods. You was a fucking tour guide for some fucking money, okay? So cut the bullshit, you know, because I ain't got no problem with calling names or none of that. Because I'm the motherfucking assassin. I'm the Kemetic assassin. I'm the baby of the elders. I'm the one that was picked and chosen to go and do damage and do destruction to people that try to uproot the teachings of the original masters. Okay? I dog you on God. And for all you foo-foo ass niggas that's gonna come over here and try to tell me something, listen, you can't tell me shit. I was a Kemetic god, a pharaoh for your ass was even born. You ain't nothing but a loser and a follower listening to some offshoot shit that somebody told you somebody said. You wasn't even here. Don't even fucking talk to me, okay? I've been doing this since 79. How you gonna be born in 80 and 90 and then try to talk to me about some Kemetic shit that you read from a nigga that read from a nigga that read from a nigga, okay? I was like this when Dr. Ben came here, okay? When Dr. Ben came to Chicago, we was already gods.